Hello everybody, this is Mike Levin, and today is going to be quite a different video from ones that came before where I'm trying to teach you something. This is me looking for help with my current project, which is Levinux. So many of my previous videos talked about layers of abstraction, about how hardware is at the bottom, and it turns out that today's hardware is just so massively powerful that if we drew it like this, it turns out that the amount that we need in order to do interesting and ambitious stuff in comparison is only about this much, shall we call it, execution space. And this is Levinux. And it is a virtual machine sitting on top of a layer of abstractions, very similar to everything I've been showing people in my previous videos. Now this next layer above the hardware is easily thought of as your desktop operating system, which are all also fairly equally big relative to the hardware underneath. And this would be things like Windows or OS X or most versions of Linux desktop. Not just any old Linux, but the big versions that are billed as desktop versions like Ubuntu or Fedora. So most popular these days are operating systems like these sitting on top of x86 hardware. And so long as it's x86 hardware, there can be a layer here that Levinux sits on top of called QEMU. Now QEMU is an open source personal computer emulator, PC emulator, and it has the ability to be quite big these days because it's been around so long, and it serves as the foundation for Android testing, not development. Development is still done on the desktop computer through Eclipse, which has the Java virtual machine there. But when you're testing your code is actually running on top of QEMU. And QEMU is so large because it has a lot in there, lots of hardware support. Now, what I'm trying to do for Levinux is make that as small as possible because I'm including QEMU in the Linux distro because it allows a virtual machine to run on top of it without any install. So, as opposed to that extremely large QEMU, QEMU large, we're taking out, whoosh, and we're putting in its place something that only exists today as the old QEMU binaries, but I'm going to try and modernize it. And it is a very small, lightweight QEMU that only has as much in it as necessary for running Levinux. And this is what I'm trying to do, or actually recruit help amongst the free and open source community to help create. This piece right here that has some interesting aspects to it. First, we need minimal hardware support. Most of the support, or most of the growth of QEMU these days, is supporting more and more modern hardware. Things like USB ports and audio. Well, we don't need any of that for Levinux. The next thing is support for curses, which is also N curses, or on Windows it's PD curses. And that is the text-only interface, because what we don't want is the graphic support. This only just grabs your pointer and makes Levinux harder to use. So in order to get out of beta and make Levinux ready for prime time, I need to find or compile a version of QEMU that runs on Windows, a different binary but equivalent that runs on OS X, and a different but equivalent binary that runs on all the various popular desktop versions of Linux, so that I can make a single, tight, portable package of Levinux that runs on pretty much any x86 hardware that you drop it onto, and your code correspondingly flows to any hardware that you might have today, you might have in the future, and jumps around from hardware to hardware via Dropbox, USB drives, or even Git repos. Looking for help. Thanks. Hope to hear from you soon.